let's continue working on the refactoring, and in this lesson we're going to simplify the logic related to the nav component as well as individual NavItem components. These components are responsible for showing the navigation links at the bottom of the page. So let's just see how the nav component is currently used in our code. Let's open up the nav component, and in this component we can see that we render individual nav items by using Vue directive. And actually on every timeline item component we use quite a bit of props. So let's just think about the ways how we can reduce amount of these attributes, because currently it feels a little bit overwhelming. So let's just try to move these three attributes directly into NavItem component. Let's start with href. I'm going to cut this attribute from here and then open up NavItem component and place that href attribute directly on this a tag. And since we're using a special vbind directive with address value on this element, this href attribute was also implicitly assigned to this element before, just like it is now, but now we're assigning this attribute explicitly. And now let's go ahead and move the event registration for the click event. Let's cut this line from here and place it on that a element inside of NavItem component. And this event listener is responsible for navigation to a different page when clicking a NavItem link. And of course, since we use function navigate as an event handler for this event, we need to move the import of this function in NavItem component. But actually here we use a special script with no keyword setup, so to use that import, let's just create another script tag and use setup keyword. And in this script we can place that import like this. We were actually talking about the difference between scripts with no keyword setup and with keyword setup in one of the previous lessons, so we're not going to stop on this again in this lesson. Alright, let's continue. And if we take a look at the template of this component, here we will see that we are using undefined variable page, so we need to somehow pass this variable from outside, and we do this by using props. We're gonna declare this prop a little bit later, but now let's go back to the nav component. Remove the import of unused function navigate, and in this template, let's also cut attribute class. We're also going to use it directly inside NavItem component. So let's apply auto formatting to this file, open up NavItem component, and place that class attribute on this a element, just like we have done with the rest of attributes. And since the expression inside of class attribute uses current page variable, we need to provide access to this variable from NavItem component. So let's just copy over the import of current page, actually cut it from here and move it inside of NavItem component, and place it directly under navigate import like this. And since both of these pieces of data, current page as well as function navigate, are coming from the same module, we can combine these two imports into one, like so. And now it's time to actually pass missing variable page into NavItem component. So let's go ahead and do this. On the NavItem component in here, I'm going to add another property page and pass variable page. This variable stores the name of the particular page. And now we can finally go ahead and declare this property in NavItem component. So let's use define props macro and use the following configuration object. The page property will be required, the type will be a string, and as a validation function we're gonna use is page valid function to check if the actual page name is valid. And since we're gonna reference page prop in the script tag, we need to store all props in a constant. Let's do so right here. And of course we have to import isPageValid validation function from the validators module. So let's see what else can be simplified. And if we take a look at the template, we will see that we are actually assigning the same attribute twice. It is this class attribute. And this part can also be simplified. So instead of assigning two class attributes, we can combine all the classes required by this element in one variable. So we can actually use computed property for this. Let's create new computed property called classes, and then cut all classes from the template and return these classes directly from the computed property closure like this. The same thing we're gonna do with the classes assigned by the second class attribute. we will cut these classes from here and move it into this array that we return from the closure of this computed property. And since we are referencing prop page from the script section, we need to reference the prop by using our props object like this. And this way we were able to make the template of this component much cleaner, and we can only use one attribute and assign classes computed property like this. And one more thing that needs to be fixed in this computed property is reference to current page variable. Since this is a reactive variable, we need to reference underlined value by using value property. And now let's go ahead and actually write an import statement for function computed. And now we were able to completely move the logic related to these three attributes in this component, so we no longer have to use vbind directive, because previously we were passing all these attributes from outside in this component, so we had to explicitly specify an element where those attributes will be assigned to, and we have done so by using vbind directive. So right now this directive vbind isn't necessary, so it can safely be removed. And by the way, we also no longer have to export this configuration object, which disables standard attribute inheritance. We can completely remove this script. And let's just move attribute class closer to href attribute, so that click event directive will come last. And also previously, when declaring props for this component, I forgot to mention prop name page. So let's fix this right here and finally check the result. And as we can see, navigation links are properly displayed at the bottom of this page as before. And the difference is that now we're actually passing page name as a prop into every NavItem component. And now let's also check if we are still able to navigate between pages by clicking on navigation links. This works as well, and link to the repository of this project will be available in the video description.